In this edition, I'm going to show you how to stop pivot table grouping affecting another table. On your screen, you can see a pivot table of sales by date. On the data tab, you can see the data, and we have sales by market, by region. And I'm supposed to do a presentation showing the monthly sales as well as the sales by week. And I need to copy this and put it on a PowerPoint somehow. So what I need to do here is just to copy the pivot table and then paste it here on the side, and then let me increase it, and then just regroup the new pivot table by week. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So you go back to grouping, and instead of grouping by month, you group by days. And for the week, because we are grouping by week, it's going to be 7 days, and then it's group. But watch what happens when I regroup the copied pivot table. Automatically the source pivot table also gets grouped that way, but that is not what I want. So what is the problem? Why is it doing that? And the answer is the pivot table cache. Okay, the pivot table cache. And the pivot table cache is an object that automatically gets generated when you create a pivot table. You cannot see it with your naked eye, but it is part of the workbook and it's connected to the pivot table. So when you make any change in the pivot table, it does not use the data source, rather it uses the pivot cache. Okay, and cache is CACHE and not money cache. Okay, and the reason why that is pivot cache is created is that it optimizes your the performance of your pivot table. It makes your pivot table work faster. The problem is that there are side effects with this pivot table cache. And what are these side effects? The side effects are when you refresh one table, all the pivot table linked to the same cache gets refreshed. Okay, when you group fields in one of the pivot tables, it is applied to all the pivot tables using the same pivot table cache. For example, if you group dates by month, this change will be reflected in all the pivot tables, and that is not what we want. Okay, also when you insert a calculated field in one of the pivot tables, it shows up in the other pivot table. Okay, and you can always check how many pivot table caches you have at one point, and I'm going to do that quickly. When you go to the developer tab, and then you just bring up the Visual Basic editor, and I'm going to increase this a little bit, and I can quickly check how many pivot table caches I have. So you can put in a statement, and that is going to be active workbook dot pivot caches dot count, and then execute this statement. It tells me that I have only one pivot table cache. Okay, so it means that these two pivot tables are sharing the same cache. That is why when I group here, it affects the other one, but that is not what I need. So I need to find a solution, and there are various ways of dealing with this issue, and I'm going to show you one simple way of doing that. Okay, so I'm going to go back, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z to the beginning. So you copy this table, that is a source table, and then open a new Excel workbook which I already have opened, and then just paste it here. And then once we have done that, I go ahead and then group it the way I want, which is by week. So it's going to be days and 7 days in a week. And then notice that it has been grouped. Once I have that completed, I just select the whole pivot table, that is the regrouped pivot table. You copy it and then go back to my original workbook and then just go ahead and drop it in here. So you notice that it is grouped, and the grouping hasn't affected the source table. And the reason is that they are now sharing different pivot table caches. Okay, so how do we know that they are sharing different pivot table cache? Originally, we had only one pivot table cache that they are sharing, but let's check how many pivot table caches is available here. So we'll go back to the developer tab, go to Visual Basic, and then rerun the statement active workbook.pivotcaches.count, which I already put in. So you just if there's anything that you can decide to remove it, whatever is there, and then you run it again, and then once you run it, you see that it's 2. So we now have 2 pivot table caches, and that is why grouping one doesn't affect the other. I can even go ahead and then regroup this by quarters. Okay, instead of weeks, I'm going to make it by quarters, and then once I do that, you notice that it's regrouped and it's not affecting the source table. Okay, and I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.